That's what I thought the joke was until I saw actual clips from the show, and it just turns out white people just don't know anything about black people or black culture.
What's good, people, and welcome on another episode. And if you are joining for the very first time, thank you so much for being here today. There's this show on YouTube that has been going viral. It's like a game quiz show, and I think it's called The Floor. The reviews from that show is just very interesting, and even watching clips from that show is pretty interesting. On this show, there are so many white contestants that are being asked questions about black people, black celebrity, to finish a black phrase or something like that. And the fact that they were literally passing these questions because they could not answer not even one from that question, but when it got to the Ben Affleck side, they were able to answer it. I will not be able to put a clip from that show on the screen, but I am going to leave a link in the description to a page where you guys can have a glimpse of the questions that they were asking this white contestant and how they were literally struggling to even answer and just passing that question because they don't know. There was a white creator who made a video talking about he thought that these white people were not answering that question because they don't want to, miss the question. But he figured that these people don't actually know about black people. Like, it's not like they don't want to answer this question. They really do not know about black people. Tell me why a white person will not be able to identify who Steve Harvey is. Like, literally just passing every single questions because they don't know. I am going to roll the clip so you guys can hear exactly what people have to say about these people literally knowing nothing about black people.
Holy shit. So I saw this Shane Gillis sketch over the weekend on Saturday Night Live. They're doing a parody of this show called The Floor, and the running joke all sketch is that Shane knows the answers to the questions, but he doesn't want to answer them incorrectly and get canceled. That's what I thought the joke was until I saw actual clips from the show, and it just turns out white people just don't know anything about black people or black culture. Watch how ridiculous these skips get as this clip goes on.
The lack of knowledge when it comes to anything with black people is crazy.
As someone who enjoys pop culture, I feel like there's an experience that I've had that's been validated by this TikTok. And that experience is that I have felt that I have needed to know majority culture more than majority culture needs to know my culture. Like, as a black person who enjoys pop culture, I felt like I basically needed to live in two different worlds. And maybe the best way for you to understand this is for me to use examples. So I really enjoy watching movies. I record every movie that I watch on Letterboxd. And I have friends who really enjoy watching movies too, and we follow each other. Because of this, I'm able to see everything that they watch and compare it to what I watch. So when I look at the list of movies that they've seen movies like Jaws or Shawshank Redemption or The Shining, or maybe Indiana Jones movies or movies like Interstellar. And I'll see all those movies too. I've seen every single one of those movies. But then you go on my list and you'll see movies like Cooley High. You'll also see movies like Eve's Bayou or Think Like a Man. Movies like She's Gotta Have It or How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And when I go to my white friends' Letterboxd accounts, they don't have the same movies there. And that's what I mean by living in two worlds. I'm watching everything that is popular in majority culture while also having to be an expert in black culture. And I don't think my white friends feel the necessity to have to watch more black films. I'm not saying that they're wrong for that. I'm not even mad at them for that. But I'm just saying that, speaking from my own personal experiences, it's been true of me as someone who's enjoyed pop culture, that I have to live in both of these worlds. I have to know what's going on in the majority culture context while also being an expert in my own. And it's never the reverse. It's never reciprocated in that way. And that's why this TikTok clip exists. Again, I'm not saying that people need to watch everything that I watch, but I'm saying that this is the experience that people have in America. And I feel like the reason why I need to address it is because sometimes it feels like there's this false impression that there's this equality amongst Americans and their experiences when that's not the case. Majority culture always has the privilege of just having to be experts of their culture, while everyone else who exists in that culture has to be experts in both majority culture and their own culture. And that's that on that.
The show, and it just turns out white people just don't know anything about black people or black culture. Watch how ridiculous.
My issue with this situation is not their ignorance, but it's their denial when you call out their ignorance. For example, it's an algorithm. We don't know it because it's not advertised to us quite as much. Some of these are obvious, but not all. Here's another one. He's just pretty much saying, oh, it's a culture thing. And I'm not saying that they should know everything about black people or black history or black culture, but to not know some of the most influential people in modern day media is insane to me. And I'm not expecting them to know every black celebrity, but the issue with this is that a lot of the people that they showed are giants in their area. Y'all remember back when Get Out released and white people were in an uproar, but you can't tell me who Jordan Peele is? That is very confusing to me. And the Steve Harvey one makes me so mad because you can't tell me you don't know Family Feud. I was 8 when he started hosting. I'm 21 now.
Show, and it just turns out white people just don't know anything about black people or black culture. Watch how ridiculous.
But this is the gag, right? They only know the parts that they steal, and they barely know that. I remember when Bye Felicia became really popular with white people, but they had no idea where Bye Felicia came from. This is why black people, for the most part, not do a good job, but we try to gatekeep our culture because people will pull parts of our culture away that they're interested in and call it American culture when it's really our culture, but they don't even bother to understand the essence that it came from. They did this test in different strokes in the 70s when they were testing the kids on white people's testing, but white people didn't know anything about black people culture. When they tested the white people on black people's mathematics and language and culture and things that we use to navigate the world, they knew nothing. Most white people probably still to this day can't tell you where Bye Felicia came from. And we always know because they will take our culture and then use it wrong. So how good would they be in our culture if we became the dominant culture? And then we tested them based on our metrics? They would fail.
Until I saw actual clips from the show, and it just turns out white people just don't know anything about black people.
That's because white people do not need to know our culture in order to live a nice, fulfilled life. They don't need to know shit about anything dealing with our music, books, movies, celebrities, anything. They don't need to know that. When I was in college, my boyfriend had a roommate who was from a very small town. We were watching Martin in his room one day, and this roommate walks in and he goes, "Oh shoot, that's the guy from Wild Hogs." Yes, he said Wild Hogs. So we look at him, we're like, "You know Martin Lawrence only from Wild Hogs?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, okay. But the reason why he know even Martin from Wild Hogs is because it had John Travolta and I forgot the other dude name. But I know that dude was in Shameless. See, I didn't even watch Shameless. But I knew he was a dad in Shameless. You see what I'm saying? They're the main culture with the sub.
The lack of knowledge when it comes to anything with black people is crazy.
Y'all, I absolutely love The Floor. I love game shows and I love competitive ones, and this one is really a lot of fun. I even reached out to the casting director and said, "When is season 2 casting coming? Because I want to be on it." And you know, I am the Faith Hashira, so I said, you know what? If I went on this show, I would do anime. And I would make sure I dress not weebish. So that way they see me, they go like, "Oh man, maybe he picked this because he doesn't really know." And then I just hit him with all of the knowledge. But after watching this show, for all of the episodes that have been out, I think that the category that I should pick that would have the greatest chance of me winning would be black stuff. Because just like this clip shows you, I don't think a lot of people know black stuff. Black people, black culture, black food. I don't know. I was very surprised the amount of passes over black things that I saw. And me and my wife would look at each other and just be like, what? And some of the best times on this show are when they cut to the black contestants. Like specifically, the black dude with the all pink suit, whenever they pass on somebody black, they cut to him. And he's just there and he just goes. Now every time that somebody like passes on somebody black, me and my wife just look at each other and we just go. So I'm saying, Floor, season 2, if you'll allow me. If you'll allow me, I'm coming on. And my little box is going to say black stuff. And you got to surround me with white people. All right? You got to promise. Because, hey, redemption is real. Redemption is real. Just give me the chance. I'm telling you. I got anime in my back pocket. But I'm saying, black stuff. It'll make good TV. Because y'all need to redeem yourselves from all them passes.
knows the answers to the questions, but he doesn't want to answer them incorrectly and get canceled.
Okay, let's talk about it. So, first of all, the floor is amazing. I freaking love this game show concept. It's great. I'm here for it all day long. And yes, it's true. Like, if you go back to this clip, it's absolutely true. There were so many passes on, like, Black culture and Black history that people, and I was like, what are you talking about? Harriet Tubman, come on, y'all. Anyway, so, I want, like, yes, that's all true. Like, what's happening is the true, like, is true that all of that was happening on the actual game show. And so the SNL skit was a parody of that. I want to talk about Shane as a host and him being on Saturday Night Live. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I have not done any research on him. I don't know anything about him as a stand-up comedian or anything like that. I don't know what his politics are. I don't know anything about him. So I'm going to start off by saying I'm about to talk out the side of my face because I don't really know what I'm talking about. But here we go. I'm just going to talk about my perception of what I saw. And I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please tell me. I am happy to admit when I am wrong. I watched that episode of Saturday Night Live. It was one of the most uncomfortable episodes that I had ever seen. From his opening monologue to the closing credits where they were all saying goodnight and all of that stuff. It was uncomfortable. I mean, like, his opening monologue, to the point where his opening monologue, and he's talking about stuff, and he's throwing jokes left and right, where he is like, oh, you all don't think I'm funny. Maybe that's his shtick, but it didn't feel like it was very comfortable. Also, this is my opinion. You can disagree, and that's fine. I don't care. But my opinion is, unless you are a person who has, like, Down syndrome or cerebral palsy or whatever, even if you have a family member, even if you have a loved one that is close to you, I don't think it's okay for you to make jokes about Down syndrome or cerebral palsy, unless you are a person who is living with that, because then it's your story to tell, and then you can make all the jokes that you want because it's funny, because you're making the joke. That's my thing. He made several jokes about, I believe it was his niece who has Down syndrome, and he made some jokes about that for me as an audience member did not land, and from what I could tell from the studio audience, did not land, and him as a comedian said did not land, and yet he doubled down on all of those things. The sketches that they were doing were so uncomfortable. They were so cringy. Go back and watch them. They were so, like, to the point where I was like, who wrote these sketches? And it kind of felt like sometimes the cast members felt uncomfortable doing those sketches, but they were like, well, we got to do these sketches because these were the ones that were picked for the week. I don't know. It just felt like a really, really bad episode, and it felt very, very, very uncomfortable. I did not like it, to the point where at the end of the episode, where they're all saying goodbye, have a good night, bye, everybody, and, you know, all the cast members come up and hug the host, and they're like, oh, you did such a great job, and they're all hugging and talking and stuff like that. From my viewpoint, and from what I saw, they would come up to him and congratulate him, and they were like, good job, buddy, pat on the shoulder, and then would move on to the next person, to the point where no one was really talking with him and engaging with him at the end of the episode, because it just felt like everything about that episode was so very, very uncomfortable. So, if you watch that episode, let me know what you think. There are so many things that, again, this is all just my opinion. This is just me talking and sharing my opinion. I have not done any research on this. I don't know anything about this man. The first time I've seen that man ever in life was on that episode of SNL, and that is my first impression of him. He could be a great person, he could be a great humanitarian, and I don't know that about him. And so, if he is, great, let me know. I'm just saying, from what I saw, that was really, really uncomfortable. And we all have bad days, so I get it. I have lots of bad days, and sometimes I am not at my best. And just because he was not at his best doesn't mean that he's not a good person. Like I said, don't know anything about him. I'm just saying, that episode was really, really uncomfortable. Made me uncomfortable as an audience member to watch. It seemed, from my perspective, it seemed that the cast members of SNL were kind of uncomfortable with some of those sketches, and it also appeared that the audience was not necessarily on board with a lot of the jokes that he told in his monologue. So, if you watched the episode, let me know what you think about his episode. Let me know what you think about him. Let's talk about it.
Guys think about what they all said, and have you been watching the show? How did you feel when you noticed that the white contestants were just passing the questions from black people, black history, black culture? If when you noticed they were just passing those questions and they could not answer, even down to Steve Harvey, what was your thought? Like, what do you think? What was your reaction? What came to mind? Share it in the comment section. I think one of the things that we all can agree with is that these people don't see the need to know about black people. They don't see the need to even want to know about black people. Like, it's so freaking funny that they will come online and insult black people when they are even trying to correct them on something, and all this while they don't even know about people. And another funny part is the fact that there are some people in the comment section trying to justify the white contestants on that show, saying they don't get shown so much about black people, black history, and black culture, and that's the reason why they do not, know the answers to those questions. These are still the same people who will come and argue the reason why there has to be a Black History Month, that it is unnecessary. There is no need to dedicate an entire month to black people to learn about their history. They will still come here and embarrass themselves. And I feel like it's so unfair, because I agree to the speech of the guy who was talking about how it seems like for black people they have to live a double life. They need to know about their culture while still knowing so much about these other people. And it's so funny because it's the truth, and this is the reason why you hear people say even black people know so much about white people than white people know about themselves. Like, because the black people are always at the receiving end, so they have to be ahead of the game. And so it all just makes sense. These are the people that will say black people can't get IDs, they don't have access to the internet, or look at them just missing the simplest question ever. The one that was very funny to me was even the recent one that we talk about, the color purple. So they showed the phrase that says D dash and purple, and they could not even say the color purple. And even the screen was in purple color. Like, it's so funny that they could not answer that question, and they did not even recognize who Steve Harvey is. But when it got to Ben Affleck, like, immediately they were able to recognize that. And you will see them copy black culture, and when you call them out on some certain things that they do and how they appropriate some certain things, they will act like they know when they don't actually know, and still tell us, oh, they're acting victims. They like to make things to be a big deal and stuff like that. But simple questions like this, they cannot even answer. This person said, it is not just black culture, it is black American culture. A lot of white Americans just don't want to meet their neighbors. Another one said, they know a lot about black culture. They have been stealing it for a century. Yeah, that's another thing. It's so funny that they have stolen so much from people that they know nothing about. Like, isn't that ironic? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Another person said, a lot of white Americans struggles with acknowledging the existence of people of color unless it serves them a purpose, unless they want to gain from it. Just like the recent campaign for Trump saying, oh, he knows very well that black people love sneakers, and that's the reason why he releases sneaker lines, and they are going to, support him because of the sneakers. Like, that was said by a host on Fox News. The last one I have here said, when white people get pissed about us wanting our own space, come back and look at this. We know you all don't really rock with us. You all just like the vibes we have. we are addictive. Like they really just want to be like black people. They really just want to copy everything, but they don't even have a profound understanding of what these people stand for, what their culture is, what is it about their history, and the things that their own people have even done to them, and even the big names of their people in the industry. They know nothing. Let me hear what you guys think in the comment section. Let's continue this conversation there. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe before you go and turn your bell notification on. And I will definitely talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, and I love you guys.